Hey everybody, it's Miss Heather from the Counseling Office with a brief webinar which covers the information from this week's Flex Time seminar that lays out the path ahead to help you understand more about the diagnostic testing program that those of you will take if in fact the SAT or ACT will be part of your university application process this year and next year. So stay tuned. We'll get right into it to learn more. You can see from this slide that standardized testing, the SAT and ACT, are used around the world in university admissions. It is a mainstay. It is the rule in US and schools in Asia, but has becoming more and more common as a strategy for admission in the UK and Australia and Canada, especially when you don't have a full IB diploma and would like to use a different set of entry requirements for admission. For those of you interested in staying in Chile, you might be interested to know that the PSU, which is a major gateway exam to university here, is based on US standardized testing. So you can see that for anyone considering applying to university outside Chile, wants to pay attention to see if this might be important for you. Please hear us say that the goal of this is to help you choose one exam to prepare for and take. The goal is to get the top score out of your body in one exam, in one kind of exam. You don't have enough time or energy or money to take two different kinds of tests during this junior year and busy senior year. If you've heard that a certain kind of university prefers one kind of test, they are wrong. The SAT and ACT are accepted equivalently around the world. We want you to be doing this instead on Saturday mornings. These 4.5-hour exams start at 7:30 in the morning and testing fatigue is real. We would like for you to be sleeping on Saturday mornings instead. Less is more here, folks. Okay, I'm going to quickly review for those of you who actually took practice exams last year, the PSAT and pre-ACT might remember that there were important differences in the exam, and I will review those here. The very first difference is about pacing and time management. To endure, to succeed, to stay motivated during a 4.5-hour exam takes a ton of practice, and these tests differ quite widely in that capacity. The SAT, hands down, provides you a slower pace. They allow more seconds per question across the various sections. The ACT, on the other hand, while being more demanding on the pace, has reportedly, been described as less taxing because, on the whole, the kind of information, the kind of data that needs to be calculated and manipulated is somehow less sophisticated. So the ACT has this feeling of being less taxing while the pace being at a quicker clip. The reading section, they both have passage-based reading section. You can see the differences in number of passages between the two exams, the number of questions between the two exams, and yes, the length of the minutes, the length of the sections in which you will be reading. The SAT has double the length of passage-based reading minutes than the ACT. Are you interested in a science section? Don't answer that questions with feelings. Let's do it with data. The ACT is this exam that has something called a science section, but I put it in quotes. It is, in fact, more of a reading comprehensive section using science-related topics. So I encourage you not to discount your ability to succeed on a section like this. If you're a strong reader, definitely consider the ACT as an option because, in fact, you get 2 reading sections instead of 1. Both have a pretty demanding math section, and you can see they differ quite widely. In terms of content, there's a strong premium on algebra in both exams. SAT will go a little into data analysis and probability. The ACT will dabble a teeny bit into trigonometry. You can see that if you love your calculator, even for the most basic calculations, that the SAT does not allow calculators on a full third of the problems. However, you can use your calculator on all problems on the ACT. In terms of question format, the ACT is very consistent, multiple choice from start to finish. The SAT has a full quarter of problems that are not multiple choice, but those grid-in problems where empty boxes are staring you in the face and you have to fill in with your pencil your answer, whether it might be a decimal or an integer or a negative or positive. That may suit you or it may not. You can also see that the SAT provides a formula bar with things you might need to use: area, special right triangles, Pythagorean theorem, things like that. The ACT doesn't. If you've forgotten how to calculate the area of a circle, you need to, dig deep and find the formula in your head. And finally, they both test American English grammar. You can see again the generous time difference. The SAT provides a much slower pace. And they also present graphs and charts inside the passage-based reading, which kind of breaks up the section a little bit. But this is a section that everyone can train for in terms of understanding about the 16 rules of grammar conventions that you need to know: subject-verb agreement, use of pronouns, pronoun case, improper modifiers, parallel construction, punctuation, those kinds of things. And they each have an essay section it's also quite different. The SAT will will feel more like an essay that you probably have written in your English class, where they'll present you with a quote, a piece of published material that addresses a fairly large sweeping theme like love, courage, freedom, things like that, and you are going to write a critical analysis essay. The ACT will instead present a position, a statement that will provoke an agreement or disagreement with this point of view. They will share these different points of view that you need to evaluate, and then, bonus, you get to share your own. Most kids find it easier to write about what they believe versus doing a critical analysis essay that the SAT asks you to write. So take those items into consideration. The goal is to decide this semester which exam is best for you. As juniors, I hope you haven't yet come down hard on one side or another. I really want you to be open-minded and make the decision based on data, experience, and expert advice from us counselors. This is not a time to follow mythology or opinion or the idea that a certain college prefers a test over another or something that your sibling did. Wow. It's really time to look at the data and say, which test will I likely get the highest score in? Remember, juniors, don't also hear me say that you need to be sitting exams, official exams yet. We'll get to the timeline, but this is an important time to practice. Every time you sit a national exam, by the way, the score stays with you forever. So it's important to be ready to test officially before you do it. But for those juniors who are even remotely considering applying to universities in the US and in Asia, regardless of your diploma pathway, you should absolutely be opting in to this diagnostic testing plan. And all those students who are pursuing the partial IB certificates and interested in applying in the US, Asia, Australia, Canada, the UK, or Europe, basically everywhere, the SAT or ACT will likely be an important way that you can complete entrance requirements for various universities. So we're not saying juniors need to show up in our office to talk about their university lists yet. We are busy with seniors, and we are excited to work with you next semester. But we do want you to start thinking about if it's possible that you might apply to these countries based on your diploma pathway, opt into the diagnostic testing program. Here it is, 4 possible days to test. 2 half-length official diagnostic tests, the official pre-ACT and the official PSAT. These exams are made by the test makers themselves and are half the length, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We are then, and you may have taken these exams as 10th graders. Hopefully you didn't study. Hopefully it was totally off the couch. I'm also not saying you need to prepare for these either, but you do need to show up and absolutely be ready to perform on the day to give it your full effort and attention. This year, for juniors also, this is what's really important and new. We are introducing an opportunity to take a full-length diagnostic exam, a real one, an SAT, and a full-length diagnostic ACT to actually start to feel what 4.5 hours is really like. Those scores from these exams give us a real good idea about your baseline starting point, where then you decide how you develop your testing practice program based on your starting position. So you can also see that we provide a alternative test date for full-length SAT and ACT diagnostics. We've tried to avoid Saturdays. We've tried to avoid missing an excessive amount of academic time in school to take advantage of half days. So here it goes. The pre-ACT is going to happen during a half day on the 17th of October, no classes missed. Then the week later, there'll be a full-length diagnostic SAT. We're going to ask you to get excused from C block and then take the late bus if you need it on a Wednesday. Then the official PSAT, which is a globally set date, we didn't have any choice, is also a half day on the October 30th, but we're going to have to ask you to miss class for those days. E, F, and G, I believe those blocks are. Wednesday the 20th, a little break there, the full-length diagnostic ACT will be offered and being excused from G block that day, and then the alternate test date if in fact you have SAC, conflicts, and other things. If I could advise on what to do, the more practice, the better. If you have the time and energy, I encourage you to do all four. If you need to split the difference, what I encourage all juniors to do who believe testing is a part of their university application process is do not miss the full-length diagnostic exams. The PSAT and the pre-ACT are half-length, and it has been purported that the test material is a bit easier than the real thing. I encourage you to step up and step into those full-length diagnostic exams. We are partnering with an incredible test prep organization called ArborBridge through the next 2 months to help you interpret your scores of the full-length diagnostic tests. If you opt into those, you will have an opportunity to have an incredibly detailed score analysis as well as a customized lesson planning for the way ahead for every student, as well as a 2-hour one-on-one tutoring session with an expert to review your results about where to go from here. They do support private clients after this point, but ArborBridge partners with NITO in this way to help you set the way ahead, and then you can choose to continue with them for individualized test preparation. Their level of analysis is incredible. It's question by question, it's skill by skill, it's difficulty level by difficulty level to give you a very detailed point about where are you starting and how can you end up where you want to end up with your practice. So this is why diagnostic testing is super important. It is rare that kids end up squarely saying, I am so much better at the SAT and I just bomb my ACT and the SAT is so much more favorable for me, or the reverse. Oh, data just show I crank on the ACT and not the reverse. In fact, most kids end up in that gray band called the judgment call, which means you could go either way, but key differences based on pacing, math, difficulty level of questions to help you squeeze out the best scores really important to do. Here's the official testing timeline. You're not hearing us say you should sit official tests now. You actually sit 2 official tests of one kind next semester. April and June for the ACT, March and May for the SAT. And you do one in senior year if you need it. Okay? More is not more. The idea is no hero points for acing both exams. You don't have enough time or money for that. So now it's time to go back into the email and click the link to complete a Google form, which will help us understand which parts of the diagnostic testing program you will opt into. We look forward to making this a sane, reasonable, objective process to help you incorporate test prep into your university planning to help you get the top score you can get. Thanks everybody for listening.